Hello, it's time for our weekly catechism class, the Judeo-Christian Catechism that we're using at the Disciple Center. And the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about holiness. And our idea of holiness is the idea that someone or something is separated from the world, from that which is common, to be dedicated to God and to his purpose. And therefore, a item may be holy, or a person may be holy, or a place may be holy. Each of those things. There really are holy people. Holy people are the chosen people of God, Israel particularly, and then by extension, those Gentiles called from among the nations through the gospel to be connected to the God of Israel and the Israel of God through the Messiah of Israel, Yeshua, or Jesus, as he is called in English. Now, there are four categories: holy people, holy places, holy items, and holy rituals. And we talked about holy people, and last time I talked about holy places. We looked specifically at the tabernacle and the temple, holy places where God has interacted or interacts with his people. And the tabernacle and the temple are the archetypes of that based on the pattern that is in heaven. Now, Judaism and Christianity both see a transference, if you will, from the temple and tabernacle in the present time to the home and the congregation. And so for Judaism and Christianity, the home and the congregation are holy places. God meets his people when they gather in those contexts. And we talked about those last week because that's where people meet, where they engage in the holy rituals and in obedience to God's commands. Now this week I want to look at holy items. And next time we'll look at holy actions or rituals. A holy item is anything that Jews or Christians use in their home or in their congregation in their interaction with God through ritual and through obedience to the commandments. In the tabernacle and the temple system, there was holy furniture, holy clothing, holy vessels or utensils that were used, and other sacred or holy items such as oil and that kind of thing. And that carries on in both Judaism and Christianity to the present time. In the tabernacle and the temple itself were the altars, the altar of sacrifice and the altar of prayer. There was the menorah, the 7-branch candlestick. And it's hard to see this in this context because it keeps trying to focus on me, but that 7-branch candlestick, the menorah, was in there. There was the laver, there was the table of showbread, there was the Ark of the Covenant. All of these made according to a pattern for the purpose of symbolism, expressing truth, and for the purpose of the holy rituals. And there was in both of these a light of the menorah, where the one that was closest to the ark remained lit while the others would be trimmed, and this one became known as the eternal light. In synagogues and in churches, traditional churches, you will see a red lamp in the synagogue over the ark. In congregations and churches, you might see it over the Lord's Supper table or over at the edge of the baptistry or some item that's there, and those remain lit all the time. The eternal light is a reminder of God's eternal presence and his glory that was in the tabernacle and in the temple, and also was in the people. Because of the day of Shavuot and Pentecost, the cloven tongues of fire were above the disciples and the believers, indicating that the glory of God and the Spirit of God was now dwelling in a temple of flesh, in the people of God. So there was holy furniture in the tabernacle, which becomes the basis of the holy furniture in the synagogue and in the church. Holy clothing. The priest wore a special designed garb, including a hat, that was part of what they were to wear. And the scriptures gave specifics about the care of those, the creation of those, and the use of those. They were only to be used in the worship of God. They were not to be used in other contexts. And then there were ritual items like cups and plates, the Urim and Thummim, as well as the slaughtering utensils that were used for the sacrifices. So in the tabernacle and the temple, there were holy items, furniture, clothing, and ritual items that were used in that context. Now, Judaism and Christianity continue to maintain holy furniture. In the synagogues, there will be the ark that holds the Torah scrolls. In the Christian churches, there is the table representing the Last Supper table where the Passover Seder and Last Supper that Jesus had with his disciples was held. And there are other items as well that are part of furnishings for the holy place. In the home, the kitchen table or a altar might be placed in that kind of context. So there's still ritual furniture and holy items in that context. But in addition to that, there certainly is the scriptures themselves. The Bible that Jews use, the Bible that Christians use, is a holy book treated with respect. When the scriptures are read in the synagogue, there are blessings that are said before them and after them. When the scriptures, particularly the Gospels, are read in the traditional churches, they are incensed to indicate that these are holy, and they are brought in by processional. So they are treated with that along with the response, "This is the word of the Lord," and the response, "Thanks be to God for his unspeakable gift." So these rituals, we'll talk about the rituals next week. The rituals surround the holy items and they are used. And obviously the scriptures are to be treated with respect. People should not use their Bible for a doorstop or for other things, and it becomes a very important item in our encounter with God. Now, in addition to that, Judaism has the prayer book. It's Siddur, that is used for the purpose of the rituals and the readings, and the Siddur should be treated also with respect. In Christianity, the prayer books, like this one, the Common Book of Prayer, and that is used for the purpose of ritual and Book of Common Prayer. I always say the Common Book of Prayer. It's really the Book of Common Prayer that holds the prayers and the rituals that are said at various times. So prayer books and Bibles are part of the holy items, both in the home and in the congregation. Now, in addition to that, Judaism has what's called a mezuzah. Mezuzah the word means doorpost. This is an item that is normally placed on the doorpost. It holds a text of scripture in it. And God said, "You will put my words upon your doorpost." And so this is a literal fulfillment of that commandment by placing it on the doors. And so as Jews go into their home or out of their home, they're reminded that this home is a holy place unto the Lord and that they are holy people unto the Lord. Christianity has similar things with home altars, or in many cases, you may have a large Bible. Let me see if I can grab one here. A Bible that is much larger than most and is used for the purpose of marking that home as a religious home, and inside will be baptismal dates and birth dates and death dates and marriage dates, all of the life cycle rituals. And these are passed down from generation to generation and may sit on the family altar or on another place in in the home that has prominence. And so each of these things are used for the purpose of acknowledging God in the home and in the congregation. The traditional Christian altar also has a Bible with two candlesticks sitting on it on the Lord's Supper table when it's not being used for the Lord's Supper or the Eucharist or whatever that tradition uses. Then in addition to that, there are holy clothing that are used by Jews and Christians. One of the common ones used by Jews is the yarmulke or the kippot that are placed on their heads and are a reminder in some sense of their submission to God, and also a reminder of the priest who wore the hat in the holy garb when they were attending God. And you'll see a similar thing in some churches where you'll see a kippah type thing. The Pope will wear them, and cardinals will wear them. In addition, Jews will wear the talit and the tzitzi, the strings, the fringe with the knots tied in them to remind them of the commandments based on the commandment of God that they are to wear those on their clothing. They're found on the prayer shawl that Jews use as well. Christians, many clergy wear a clerical collar, or they wear a pectoral cross, and the cross is a reminder of they are crucified with Christ, and yet they live, and they are to obey and follow him in that context. They're not their own. They're bought with a price. And so clothing, clerical garb, robes in churches, all of the baptismal robes, all of these things are used for the purpose of being holy. And they are holy items. Of course, for Shabbat, you have the candlesticks. At Advent, Christians light the Advent candles. There are Seder plates, and there are chalices that are used for Kiddush and are used for the Lord's Supper and for various things. And these are treated with due respect because they are holy items as well. So Judaism and Christianity maintain a number of religious items, and those items should be treated with respect. Now, they're not to be worshipped, but they're treated with respect. And so you don't just simply tear a page out of a Bible and use it for artwork. You don't take a hymnal or a siddur or a prayer book and just throw it in the trash. They are generally treated with respect. Often in synagogues and churches, there are rooms where the ones that can no longer be used can be kept, and they are treated with great respect, very much in the way that traditionally Americans treat the flag. These items are given due respect because they are holy items. So it's important that we teach our children to treat these items with respect, that they don't throw a Bible around, that they place it carefully, and that they're careful when they're using these objects both in the home and in the congregation. And we treat them with respect because they are dedicated specifically to the service of God. And we don't use them for common use. We don't use them for mere decoration. We don't use them for another use just to stack a bunch of books together. They are treated with respect, and they are used in the holy rituals that we engage in as Jews and as Christians. So next week, what I'm going to do is talk about the rituals. We'll use a little bit of these as the holy people in a holy place, using holy items, engage in holy behavior, or the rituals of passage and intensification that are used for life cycle and for the holy days. And that will conclude next week our section on holiness. Again, this is only a brief introduction. There is much more that can be done, and you should teach that to your children, and you should explore that yourself through your own religious tradition or denomination as to how items are used, what items are used, what items are not used, why they're used, and how they're to be treated. So until then, until next week, I'll say God bless you.